Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of the new boxing film called Bleed for This. The film stars Miles Teller, Aaron Eckhart, Katie Sagal, and I can't remember his name, but it's the guy that plays Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones, and the film was directed by Ben Younger. As always, this review may include spoilers, so this is your official spoiler warning, so you have now been warned. Just to give you a quick overview and a quick insight into what the film was about, it is about the life of Vinny Pazienza, a world championship boxer who breaks his neck in a car accident, and it follows his road to recovery to get him back into the ring. Right, so let's jump into this review then, and I've got to say I am a sucker for boxing films, so I really did like this film, but it does have its flaws, and I will mention them a bit later on in the review. But one of the things that I really enjoyed was the chemistry on screen between Miles Teller and Aaron Eckhart. Obviously, Miles Teller playing Vinny Pazienza, and Eckhart was playing his coach and his trainer, Kevin Rooney, and it did really feel that they had a connection. It resonated really well from screen to me sitting in my seat. There was connections there, especially the scene when they're at the dinner table when he's been secretly training him and they're like laughing and giggling like little school kids. That was really great, and it did bring this sense of closeness and personal family values to the whole film, and that's like another thing that was great. Before I carry on, it's great to see Aaron Eckhart in something great again. I mentioned this in my Sully review. He's kind of dipped off the past few years after Batman, but he's come back and he's done 2 great films in a row, so that's really good to see. So hopefully that trend continues. Yeah, but there was a real sense of family, and you really got that, as I said, when they were sitting around the dinner table, and that whole style really worked, like having them really close-knit and sitting around the dinner table, especially the scene just after he gets injured and he says like, oh, I'm going to go and get the Parmesan, and his sister gets at him and he's like, well, if I'd have asked you that a week ago, you'd have told me to go and like F myself. And it really, that close-knit family unit really worked. But one of the things I did have an issue with after this was, after the accident, the rest of the family became obsolete, and it was just kind of this story between him, Kevin, and his dad, and there was a lot of connection and a lot of storytelling with Vinny and his dad, but there wasn't a lot with his mum, which I would have liked to have seen, because she was like a really prominent character early on, and you could see where she would have built him back up, and we didn't really get to see that. So that's like the only issue I really have character-wise, was that I would have liked to have seen his mum more prominent after the crash and not focus solely on the relationship with his dad. Again, just going back to Miles Teller and Aaron Eckhart, it was like the way that one of the great things about it was the way it was so subtle. There wasn't like a lot of over-the-top acting. It was really like subtle, like their facial movements, and it really, I don't know, it really like, it felt more real because there was no real like overacting. It felt real. Like the scene where he gets the screws taken out of his head, I thought that was one of the best scenes in the film, because he was trying to be this big, brave macho man, and they could have gone a completely different way with that, but they showed him sitting there and like taking the pain, and it brought like comedy, and that's what one of the things this film did well as well, to back this point up. There was like real subtle comedy moments in there when they kind of needed to be, but there was also real subtle, like nice and poignant moments. Like there was one scene that like really, like, it didn't hit home with me, but it was like you realised the extent of this guy's injuries when he was just sat in the bath and his dad was sponging him down, and he was like helpless and he couldn't really do anything. And that's what I really liked of how subtle this film was. It wasn't all thrust in your face. It was just really nice the way it wasn't too overacted and it wasn't too over the top where it could have been. So that was like another really great point. Now I've saved my best point I wanted to make for last, because this is about the music and the sound effects in this film. It was just beautiful and so well done, and I really hope this film gets nominated for like a sound Oscar. Whether, I don't care if it doesn't get anything else, but as long as it gets nominated for an Oscar for sound editing, because it was so well. Again, it was just really subtle, but there was like the right time to use sound and the right time not to use sound, and they hit that nail perfectly on the head. The way they took all of the sound out, for like, it started right at the beginning, there was no sound, it was just the natural ambient sound. Again, they took it out during the car crash, and they took it out a lot. That's what they did. They just completely took out the sound in some bits, and it works so well. Just having like the natural Foley sounds, it was just really, really great. And it almost, I've said this a lot, but this is the one time where I've genuinely meant it. It felt like the sound was an additional character because it brought out emotions. It did really connect with me, the sound in this film. It was just bloody great. And one of the points, the last like really good point I want to make about this was the end sequence, like the end fight sequence. It was great. Again, the sound, it wasn't like again, I don't want to use the comparison, but it wasn't like Rocky where it's this big crescendo ending. It was sort of just like low and mundane the whole way through. And again, it took out the lack of sound. You could just hear the punches getting hit, and you could realize this guy was in trouble. And yeah, the sound just absolutely blew me away in this film. So yeah, I can't say any more than that. It was just, the sound was great. Alright, now I want to talk about some of the things I didn't really like and didn't enjoy about this film. And it was just sort of, for me, it just felt like it was lacking something overall. It didn't feel like it had the emotional connection through all the way throughout the film. Like I said, there was some scenes that were great at doing it, but some that didn't really deliver. And I feel that was partly down to the fact that he didn't really have, as horrible as it sounds, he didn't really have any adversity when he was injured. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, I'm injured, I'm going to start training, and then I'm going to carry on doing it, and I'm going to win the world title. It was like there was nothing in his way. It just kind of like, it happened, which obviously is great, and he sums that up really well at the end of the film. He says, like, people tell you it's not that simple, but I feel like there would have been some sort of like adversity that he would have been facing during his recovery time, and it just didn't feel like it really connected. And that's like sort of how like I can sum up this film, is that it was really great, but it just didn't, there was something missing from it that really gave it that true, strong, powerful emotional connection. Again, I don't really want to refer to it, but like Rocky or like Creed, there was no real like connection that I really wanted to get behind him to do it, and I just don't know what it was. There was just something. It was just really like lackluster towards the end. It just sort of petered out, the story petered out, and I know that that's life, and you know, it just kind of carries on, which was, again, it was like quite a nice thing that it just carried on. There wasn't this really big like emotional ending after it. It was just kind of an interview and then done. But even like after it, I would have liked a bit of storytelling on the screen after, to tell you what happened to Vinny, like after his sort of career had ended or whatever. But there wasn't, and it just felt like it was just like, it was almost like you filled a balloon so high with expectation and filled a balloon so high with all this emotion, and then you just kind of let it seep out the bottom. It just didn't feel like I could connect emotionally enough with this film just to make it great. But yeah, not to take away from that, it is a really great organic story. It's almost like you couldn't have like wrote a better story, if I'm honest. Like, for it to happen in real life, it's horrible, but it does make for great viewing, as horrible as that sounds. But yeah, it was a really great story. It was really well acted. It was just there was something missing, and I can't put my finger on it. And I'd like to hear from you guys, if you've seen Bleed for this, what you thought about the film. Did you feel the same as me coming out of the cinema, that it was just like there was just something missing at the end to sort of do it for you? Yeah, I'd love to know, as always, down in the comments below. I'm going to leave this review here. I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. Let me just check, because you know what I'm like for waffling. Yeah, it looks like I've covered everything I wanted to say. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film, but it just had that little incy bit missing. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, please share and subscribe. I love you, and I miss you. I will see you in the very next episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. Trap.